You know, before there was coffee, like half the people in the world had fetal alcohol syndrome. I don't know if that's true, but I read it. I come here a lot, my first part of the shift. Yeah. Oh, joy. Look at that. When I was a kid, I always thought when I grew up I was gonna have a flying car. That was the biggest thing I was looking forward to. I wasn't looking forward to coffee and all the other vices that comes with adulthood, but flying car seemed like a good deal to grow up to, right? But now I'm semi-grown up, still no flying cars. I mean, we got cell phones, we got computers like HAL, we got all sorts of things, but still no flying cars. But the closest thing that comes to a flying car that we have in production today, I do believe, is a Subaru Legacy. I always think of it as like a Luke Skywalker's floating car. You know, I guess I'm kind of spoiled. I drive this car around in Homer, Alaska. And I feel pretty lucky. I mean, most of the time when you're in a car, you're more worried about the radio and the stop sign and the stoplight and the traffic. But here, I'm driving around 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning in a small little town. So I get to drive this thing around kind of, I guess, the way it was meant to be driven. In terms of technological determinism, the car, in a sense, is probably, in general, like the marauding herds of Genghis Khan. They just destroy so much that we've built good. But one particular car, this car right here, I love this car. Subaru Legacy.
God gave you life and thought. Now it's ours to waste. I have the finest love and the finest taste.
Can you get that? I'm a little busy.
Oh, okay, I'll grab it.
Busy drinking coffee. You know, I ran into something that really gave me this strange understanding about the formation and fruition of ideas. And I was reading about Kevin Kelly. Kevin Kelly is I knew him as the editor of Wired magazine. And I was reading something about him, and they said that he was the founder of The Well, which was the first online community. You know, the internet was started, and people were going to use the internet to trade military secrets between the Pentagon and the White House or whatever it was. And then in the Bay Area, Kevin Kelly started The Well, which was a whole earth living, I don't know what it was, but anyway, it was like sort of like AOL. It was the first online community. So they took a tool, which was a neutral use tool, which was basically to exchange information, and they turned it into a kind of community. It's like William Gibson says, the street will find its uses. So it's just really nice to see that something that was designed for industrial bureaucratic purposes ended up getting used to build community and communication of ideas and a flow of ideas. And then I read something that just really blew me away, and that was that he was also the editor for the Whole Earth Catalog with Stewart Brand. And I was like, oh, that's so, I don't know, it's so internet-y, I guess is the word. And then I went over to the bookstore where Melanie's working, and sure enough, they have an old copy of one of the Whole Earth catalogs. And to look at the Whole Earth catalog and to see how it was designed and how it was made, it's like a big paper internet. I mean, anybody could suggest a link of anything that they thought would be useful for humanity, and then anybody could write up a review of that. So it was real peer-reviewed or like user participation. And then instead of clicking on to a link button and going after the jump to that information that you wanted, you had to go and write a, envelope and put in your money and get your little Buckminster Fuller book or your solar panel, hot water heater plans or whatever. But I just thought it was really interesting to sort of see that as far as how the internet has been trying to develop in the last, say, 2 years after the bust and after the whole commercial rush for like Web 2.0 is so many of those ideas were present right there in paper form in the Whole Earth Catalog. So if you really want to see a progression of an idea, like an idea that happened, and then as technology and ideas change, whatever, you have stuff like Flickr and Delicious and Google Earth and all that. So I think that's a good thing to check out. That's one of my book recommendations right there, is the Whole Earth Catalog, and think of it as the internet. The most exciting thing to me right now about the internet is that I can access the works and thoughts of some of like the country's and the world's greatest thinkers. And that was something I just thought of. I thought, if you think of media like food, like more important than what you put in your belly is what you put in your mind, then when you make a selection, do you want to watch Desperate Housewives, or do you want to access a quality media, just whatever your definition of that is? And so I did. I went out there and I searched and I found the MIT open course software or whatever, and downloaded some MIT stuff. I'm like, ooh, yeah, MIT. And then I went to the Harvard one, downloaded a bunch of stuff, and USC, which was really good. And just kind of looked for my interests, and then I looked for information or content on that. And then I've been listening to it in the cab. It's been the thing that's defined this job for me, is that I ride around in the middle of the night in this sort of strange tranquility, drinking up great minds' ideas. But I did realize there's a little bit of a vanity in that. When you say, hey, I think I'll just hang out with the world's greatest minds and just dig their shit, in one sense, that's kind of like walking into NFL football game and go, hey, I think I'll play some football, just jumping in and then getting squashed. Because in one sense, I do feel that is what it was like. I felt I was intellectually challenged. I felt that I was not really prepared for that level of discourse. But my mind and my cognition is much more exciting to me than it was before I started digesting mostly podcasts here in the cab. I'll play a little bit of, the discourse on like the history of technology and therefore the future. And then in the middle, I get a call and it's some drunk guy going, where are the women at, or whatever, and I'll put it on pause. And one day I pick up this guy and I put it on pause and he goes, what you listening to, And I'm like, I'm listening to, whatever, it's like cognitive psychology from MIT. And he goes, that's great that you're bettering yourself. And I'm like, yeah, next time this ride is going to be $10. I mean, that's the dilemma as a cab driver, or I mean, in this setting, when I'm driving a cab, it does me no good. I mean, I'm still going to charge the same amount. So that is definitely one of the dilemmas that I've come across. Is like I've kind of proven the theory that you can learn on your own, independently, much more rapidly than you could possibly in a library, or even if it's equal, you can definitely utilize these new technologies to fill your mind with great ideas. But what does that get you? I mean, because we all do know really, really smart people that are just not using their intellect integrated into their life. So hopefully one of my next quests is to find a way to learn applicable skills that better your daily life. And that's one of the things I'll be working on. So if anybody knows of something like that, definitely pass it my way. All right. So, after downloading all those podcasts and perusing websites and checking out things and really digesting information from other places, I think, it's content. Content is it. You can go and you can access content from anywhere. I was pretty hip on that idea, and they say content is king. That was one thing they were saying about the internet is what we need is stuff out there, and the stuff is out there now. But then I heard an analogy, and somebody said, if you were to go to a desert island, would you bring your record collection or your friends? And only a psychopath would say, I want to bring my record collection. So conversation is king. So now, with this new internet and with the world as it is today, we're attempting to start conversations. So that's what I'm trying to do, is start a conversation. I gotta go to work.